I'm Brother Steve, live in Hollywood, California. Now, we've got some people watching our broadcast right now. I'm going to make a challenge to you right now watching our broadcast. This is the one and only Dr. Timothy T. Johnson, candidate for Trustee Board. You want to share this video. Tonight, it's going to be epic. You want to share this video because you don't want it to be said that he said, well, I thought he said, I heard he said. No, share the video and stay with us. If you're on YouTube, send me a comment right now. If you're watching us on YouTube, send me a comment right now. The first 5 people who comment to me on our page right now, we're going to bless you with a $300 restaurant certificate. You can use it at any restaurant you want to in America. Okay, the first 5 people who comment right now, okay, we're going to bless you with a $300 restaurant certificate. You want to say hello to Pastor Timothy T. Johnson? You can say hello to him right now. This is going to be good. It's going to be unique. It's going to be epic. I'm Brother Steve from Hollywood, California. You got to go to COGICFamilyLife.com. Make sure you go to that site, COGICFamilyLife.com, and get tuned in to what we've got blessing there for you. That's let me put it up on the screen right now so you can see them. That's COGICFamilyLife.com. We'll put that on the screen right now so you can see that. Go to that website, sign in, get all the good blessings, all the goodies you want to get, and enjoy yourself and share it with somebody else. Dr. Timothy T. Johnson tonight on our broadcast. Candidate for Trustee Board for the Church of God in Christ. We're so glad to have with us. I'm getting choked up because I've been waiting for this interview. I actually caught a plane back earlier to get here, to be here for this interview tonight. So it will be at one only Dr. Timothy T. Johnson. How you doing, Pastor?
Hey, Brother Steve, I'm doing wonderful. I thank you for this opportunity.
Right. Thank you so much for coming on. Been knowing you for years. You've been around the Church of God in Christ for years. You've been around the General Assembly for years, and now you on our broadcast. Took you all those years to get on our broadcast. Doc, we're glad to have you. How you doing? Good to see you tonight.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You know, people are commenting right now. We want to say hello to all our people commenting right now. The one and only Dr. Linnell Perry is watching. And we thank her right now. And we're so glad to see everybody watching our program. Right. And then somebody wrote us a comment right there, and it's from James Buchanan. And I think we're going to have to send them a message later on in our broadcast just to touch base with them so we can say hi to them right now too as well. So Dr. Smith, Dr. Johnson, tonight's a big night. You got a lot of things on your heart that you want to share, and we want to share what you want to say to the people out there. Tonight, I'm going to give you the open platform. Talk to me. What is your platform?
Well, Brother Steve, before I begin that, can I greet the people who may be watching this video tonight?
Please do. Please, open format for you.
Sure. So I want to first honor the Lord for this opportunity, for it is through him that this is possible. I extend my gratitude to all the delegates who may be watching and to those who may view this video at a later date, but hopefully before February the 23rd. Again, Brother Steve, I want to thank you for this opportunity to share my background and experiences with the delegates of the Church of God in Christ and with others who may be viewing. It is my hope that I provide substantive information that will highlight what I offer our great church as a member or a potential member of the Trustee Board. And for this opportunity, I am forever grateful. Again, I pray that this session is both informative and educational. And in the words of a well-known news commentator, let's go after it. Let's get after it.
All right.
So you asked the question, what is my platform? What I want to first do is to state that my understanding of the trustee board, number one, in terms of my academic and corporate training, the leadership, the trustee board would be considered a support function or support organization. So their general responsibility lies within three categories, maybe four categories, according to the constitution of the church. One, it primarily deals with the trust and use of benefits of the property committed to it by the general board. Secondly, it is mandated to hold in trust the use and benefit of the church, any asset which shall become the property of the church or with proper legal designation, and it shall preserve, protect, secure, and maintain the property of the church. And lastly, what I consider the most critical function or set of tasks that the trustee board does is meet the budgetary needs for the church by working with all of the national departments, units, auxiliaries, conventions, and the operating arms of the church to build a budget for the national church. So when you look at in terms of what my platform is, number one, I recognize that a member of the trustee board is one of 15 people. So technically, one person does not have an agenda. It's an agenda of the collective body. So I want people to understand that. So I'm not coming in promising that I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Only thing I want you to do is give me an opportunity to provide results for the church. And secondly, I want to bring to the church over 20 years of corporate experience working with Fortune 50, 100, and 500 organizations to transform organizations that may be underperforming, not performing up to what has been mandated by their boards of directors, and turn them into profit entities. So when I think in terms of platform only, what I have to offer the church is my corporate experience, my church experience, which is vast. You kind of highlighted on that earlier. One of the things that I tout and I think that I can bring to the trustee board is, you recall this back in 2010, and you were a part of that committee. Presiding Bishop Blake, along with the chief operating officer, developed a technology commission. And we sat on that technology commission, and out of that commission, we saw things such as the concept for the ARC system. We saw redefined processes for convention registration.
Yes.
We did things like redesigning the church's website so it can be functional. And those are some of the things that technology commission started way back in 2010. And you can see the benefits of that work that we did back in 2010 being manifested today. So in essence, that's what I bring to the church and to the trustee board.
Well, a lot of people have seen you around General Assembly oftentimes, and they've seen you around the church. But for those of you that don't know your church involvement, let's take another look at the other side. Tell us about some of your urban experience. You can name some of the companies you've worked with and some of the things you've done, because you have a high technology driven background.
So what I like to say is, for the people who don't know me and trying to find a reason to trust me, I can give you one great reason to trust me.
Okay.
When you turn on your light switch, when you turn on your pilot light for your stove, you can trust and believe that I had something to do with that. I've been in the utility space, and I started back in the mid-90s, building systems that deliver energy from their distribution points into the home. I even worked on a commission in California. I don't know if you recall back in, I think it was the early 2000s, you guys were having those brownouts, those rolling brownouts. I worked with PG&E and Southern California Edison to help solve that issue. A lot of people don't know that. I don't brag about it, but my corporate experience, those are some of the things I did. And also, when you look at large utility companies, Entergy out of Louisiana, Reliant Energy or NRG, now it's called NRG, in Houston, Texas. You look at Atmos Energy in Dallas. You look at Con Edison in New York. You look at every major utility. I have done something to help them to provide energy efficiency to your home and to your business. So when you turn on that light, I had something to do with it. When you turn on that television, I had something to do with it.
All right, you got something to do with it. Yes, it's working.
I had something to do with that. And not only in the utility space, also in the government space. I built the modern court systems that a lot of the attorneys and judges are using. I helped develop that. I was part of the think tank to do that. So I bring a vast and a broad variety of technology experience to the church that we can leverage. Even now, there's a buzzword called analytics.
Okay.
I worked on working with a large company called SAP that developed analytical systems, which we call enterprise resource planning. I work from one end of the company to the other end of the company. I just don't focus on one section of the company like finance. I know the entire enterprise. I know the nuts and bolts of enterprises. I've worked with companies like Accenture, IBM, like again, some of the utilities I work with, and people who lived in Charlotte and Philadelphia may remember a bank called First Union.
Okay.
It was purchased by Wachovia, and now it's called Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
The first online banking system that the banks use, I was a part of that development team. Wow. So I've been touching people before they knew I touched them.
So let me ask you this. How will we convert that experience to the Church of God in Christ? Let's use those layman terms. What would a delegate say that this is what Dr. Johnson has brought to the trustee board for the Church of God in Christ?
Let me answer that this way. So when we look at the duties and responsibilities of the trustee board, the number one responsibility I feel that the trustee board has is building the budget. Okay. And when we look at what not only that the church is going through during this pandemic, but all organizations, they are facing budgetary shortfalls.
Okay.
So I worked with a consortium of nonprofits recently to identify how to bridge that budgetary shortfall. And so one of the things that we did was identify and analyze our membership database, who gave for that fiscal period, right, and which members were outstanding. Okay. And so I have a saying, and I said this on another conversation, the church not only needs to look at what it does, but how it does it, or how we do it. Okay. And so one of the things that we did with this nonprofit consortium was the members who were in financial constraints or had some financial restrictions, we allowed them to pay either a reduced membership fee or they agreed to be on a membership payment plan. Okay. So eventually we were able to raise $2.5 million, and that helped close the gap of the budget shortfall up to about 90% of the budget.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that's something as a trustee board member you would like to bring to, and we're live on the air at COGIC Decision 2021. For those of you watching our broadcast right now on Facebook Live, let me ask you, is that some of the ideas you would like to bring to the Church of God in Christ, to the National Trustee Board, about reducing some of the fees or some things that some of the delegates and laymen are paying out?
Well, when we think about what it takes to run our church, And if we were to look at the numbers, and I did an analysis of the 2018, 2019 numbers because the 2019, 2020 numbers are not in.
Okay.
67% of our budget comes from three areas: laity reports, credentials, men and women. So that's 67% of our budget. And without going in too much detail, because I don't know who all is watching this, but those of us who are delegates who sit in the General Assembly know what percentage of the laity report is given. So I think one of the things that the trustee board can do is work with the executive branch or the board of directors, which is our presidium, the general board, is to help them identify, are we maximizing our membership potential? Are we maximizing our membership potential? It was stated on another interview that we have 6.5 million people in our church. That's what we tout. Am I right? We tout 6.5 million. So in most organizations, in most nonprofit organizations, their spend per member is at least $5.
Okay.
So we raise, just theoretically or hypothetically speaking, we would have raised $5 per 6.5 million. That's over $30 million. That's 3 times what our annual budget is. So if we speak realistically, if we were to look at our the 3 sections, well, really the 2 sections, one of it is subdivided. We looked at our credential holders to make sure that we're maximizing them. We need to understand if we have X amount of credential holders and only X amount are participating, we need to understand why is there a gap?
Okay.
And we need to reach out to those people. In the organization I belong to, we did a reclamation and retention plan. And that's something that I brought out to one of the candidates for the general board. I asked the question, what is our plan to reclaim and retain our members? So one of the things that I think that I can bring to, as a trustee board member, again, working in partnership with our general board, to identify those members who are non-participants and understand why they are not participating in our organization. They still carry our name, they still claim to be Church of God in Christ, but they're not contributing financially to us. We need to understand why that is the case. And then once we understand that, if we can increase our delegate or credential holder giving by 30%, that would result in about $25 to $30 million in increased revenue.
So you're not saying increase the laity reports, but get more people involved with the reports.
Yeah, we have to get more people involved because if you look at what we do now, and I did a comparison with our sister organization, the Assemblies of God.
Okay.
They have, in the United States, they have about 3.5 million members, and the majority of their budget comes from their U.S. delegation. Across the globe, they have about 39 million members. So you're talking about 36 million people or 35 million people living outside of the United States, but the members in the United States finance the entire global ministry. Okay. I believe our church can do that. I believe with the laity itself, if we can just increase the laity reporting to 10%, that is $30 million to include what we can get if we increase the credential holders by another 10 to 20%. We're talking about raising $60 million. That's 6 times what our current budget is.
Wow. And I'm sure we could do a lot, or the national church could do a lot with that type of budget.
Ministry. I mean, we could be considered the foremost organization in ministry globally. We can surpass the Catholic Church if we were to do something like that.
Wow. So let me ask you, what do you do locally? You pastoring and teaching? I mean, tell us about your fellowship locally.
I have my hands in a lot of things. Have my hands in a lot of things. Right now, I'm assisting my father at Mount Olive Holy Temple Church of God in Christ. And just to give a little plug, he is the Chief Justice of the Judiciary Board, Church of God in Christ, the Honorable Bishop Martin Luther Johnson. I assist him. I also work in Cuba as the missions director. I'm the executive assistant to the jurisdictional bishop, and I also been recently appointed as mission director for Argentina.
Wow.
So in Cuba, we have over 80 churches. We have 5 missions, and I like to consider Cuba the jewel of the international ministry of the Church of God in Christ. And just recently, I was approached by a few churches in Costa Rica that want to come into the Church of God in Christ. So,
wow.
Although I am in the United States, my ministry is really on the mission field.
Okay.
And this is a breaking announcement. This is breaking news.
Let the people know you heard it here first. All right, go ahead.
We are starting the Foundations Church.
Whoa.
So we're starting the Foundations Church. So we are broadening our horizons to help the church expand its ministry, not only in the United States, but globally.
Wow. That is you just so much going on and so many things. You have such a great impact on not just locally, business, and the national church work as well. Let me ask you, so where do you see the future of our church going post-COVID? What do you see Church of God in Christ doing post? Do you see us going back to conventions? Do you see us going back to larger or smaller meetings? Where do you see our church going?
Well, I think our church, I think we will survive and get through what we are what the world is going through. This is not just unique and isolated to the Church of God in Christ. I believe we're going to get through it. I believe that the leadership we have in place, and even the incoming leadership, has enough intelligence to guide this church through what we're going through. And again, I like to be a part of that leadership team. But to specifically answer your question, I believe that the Church of God in Christ is going to come through this with flying colors. I have enough faith in our leadership that they will build a strategic plan to whomever it is. And I've heard all of the candidates talk about their platforms. And I believe that we're going to get through this. And some of the things that they've talked about and I espouse, we're looking at revisiting our organization, looking at the spirituality of it, looking at the financial structure. And again, I say this, we not only have to look at what we do, but how we do. We have to take advantage of technology.
Okay.
To maximize giving, maximize communication, maximize disseminating information. We live in a global world, but technology has shrunk that footprint.
Yes, it has.
And we should be able to do more now than ever before. I mean, we got Zoom meetings, streaming yard, FaceTime. I mean, I can have a conversation with somebody in Japan just as quick as I can have somebody who's across the street from me.
Yes, sir. Well, let me ask you this, because I want to make sure you have time to, pitch or speak to the delegates out there watching our program right now. And we thank God for my mom in Cleveland, Ohio. She's watching our broadcast right now. Again, Dr. Linnell Perry is watching our broadcast right now. The one and only Bishop Joe Chase is watching our program. God bless you, Bishop Joe Chase, one of our incumbent trustee board members. If you want to say in the comment to right now, Dr. Tim Johnson, please send a comment to him right now so we can announce you on the air. Let me ask you this. As we move forward, and I've interviewed a lot of candidates for trustee board, general board, but what makes you different from everybody? What sets you apart to make you stand out and say, this is why the delegates needs to just, I mean, there's 15 seats available, but you just need one.
That's correct.
That's all you need. You can vote for, the several people. You can vote for, different candidates. But what makes you different?
Well, I like to offer the church my unique skill set, a combined skill set of not only exemplary corporate experience, but also church experience. Again, we highlighted it previously.
Mm-hmm.
I worked for the General Assembly. I worked in 3 or 4 areas of the church. The General Assembly, I'm currently a member of the Manual Review Committee, so I know the church's constitution in and out.
Okay.
I worked on the Codification Committee, and hopefully soon you will see the results of that work with that great team that I work with. I was a part of the Sergeant at Arms for the General Assembly from 2006 to 2019, so I helped maintain the order of the General Assembly.
Yes.
And so what I really am proud of is my work with the Presidium of the church, specifically with Bishop Blake's office. I was assistant to the Chief Operating Officer from 2010 to 2015. Again, I stayed original member of the first Technology Commission, again, led to the original ARC system concept, online education. That was a part of Dr. Clint Horn was a part of that, and refined the convention registration process and the modernization of the COGIC website. And also currently serve on the Ecclesiastical Commission platform supervision. I've been doing that since 2012.
Wow.
Also worked with Bishop Macklin on the National Leadership Conference. I started out in the Education Committee and then moved into some planning with the executive planning team. And one of my proudest achievements is working with the National Adjutancy.
Yes.
Love that organization. Been a member of that since 1992. Was brought into the adjutancy by the late Bishop H. Jenkins Bell.
Wow.
And right now I am an adjutant overseer, and I was appointed in 2016.
Wow. Well, before we end our broadcast, I'm going to give you this opportunity to speak directly to those voting delegates out there on why they should consider you for that one seat available for the National Trustee Board for the Church of God in Christ.
What I would like to say is, not since 1968 has this church been faced with a change in leadership of this magnitude. Again, with most organizations, changes in leadership ultimately forces the organization to deal with transitional and transformational challenges. Positioning myself as a contributor towards the resolution of these challenges, I want to work with the incoming leadership to build and streamline our processes. I'm talking about financial, I'm talking about operational, I'm talking about property management. So what I want the voting delegate to understand is that with the incoming leadership, change will be inevitable. I just ask you to allow me the opportunity to work with the new administration to transform our church into a leaner, more agile organization, where together we build strategic alliances with corporate America, maximize revenue, build a technology infrastructure, and leverage the church's purchasing power to gain greater benefits for our constituents today and generations to come. And just to highlight that the church's purchasing power, we have 6.5 million members of our church. And that's considered the largest Black Pentecostal body in the world. If we can find ways of providing additional benefits to our membership just by numbers alone, and that's been stated by some of the general board candidates, we need to take advantage of our numbers. And I want to advocate with our general board, not only with the local governments, the state governments, and our federal governments to influence policies, to work with corporate America to provide benefits to our delegates and our members when they travel, when they go out to eat, when they go to purchase clothing, credit cards and automobiles. We are a 6.5 million strong organization. We need to start allowing companies to identify and recognize our purchasing power potential. With 6.5 million members, the population in the United States is 14% Black. We comprise almost half of that. The church almost comprises half of that. Do you know how much spending power we have as a church? We need to force corporate America, force the government to take notice that we are a present and a formidable organization, that we need to be heard. Our concerns need to be addressed both politically and corporate wise. Those are the things that I like to bring to the trustee board and work with our church. And again, I like to position myself on the trustee board as all things, the trusted advisor for all things technology. Lastly, I say this: our church will transition, our church will transform. Consider Dr. Timothy T. Johnson for the trustee board. Transformative leadership for a transforming church. God bless you, and God bless the Church of God in Christ.
There you have it, the one and only Dr. Timothy T. Johnson, candidate for trustee board for the Church of God in Christ. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Di. It's such a joy, and you're working with your dad at the church and doing great things and making things happen. I know that you've got a short schedule. You got to leave the country and then come back while the vote is taking place. So we thank God for your time, and you got a lot of things happening, a lot of things going on.
And I want to say this one last thing.
Yes, sir.
Originally, we were supposed to schedule this Saturday, which so happens to be my birthday.
Well,
so,
happy birthday to you. I'll send you my cash app. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you for this opportunity. And again, I want to encourage all of the delegates to go out and vote Dr. Timothy T. Johnson, Trustee Board, 2021 on February the 23rd. Remember, February the 23rd, and tonight, all registration must be completed. Tonight. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
All right. From Hollywood, California, Brother Steve, we'll see you again. Share this video. Go into our website, COGICFamilyLife.com. God bless.